Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Thursday. Dustin Schutte with us as always. I'm Jim Coyle, and Travis Miller from Boiler Upload joins us. And in the break, we were talking about the little video clip that has gone viral. It must have been John Fanta's if it was on Fox, his video of it. But I asked, and I asked all three, but then while I was in it, I realized that there's only one Indiana guy up on there, but I knew that they were all, very indoctrinated into the series. But I said, because with the conversation that had preceded that was about games, the sting of losing games, whether it was Fairleigh Dickinson, and they hadn't encountered that much, and I said, I know that a regular season game does not define a season. I said, but being swept by Indiana had to leave a big sting, had to hurt. And that's, I thought his answer was great, to be honest with you. Obviously I'm looking at it from a different perspective, and it was great because it drew a crap ton of attention. But the fact that he was able to think that quickly, but I saw those big old juggernauts that he was wearing on his hand, because he was the only one wearing them. I mean, he was wearing them two together, which also very odd to me. I would not, if I had two rings that were the size of a 18-inch wheel, I would be putting them on different hands to maybe even myself out. I mean, he walking, but anyway, he said, acknowledged that they had certain goals, and that they met two of the four goals, and losing Indiana hurt. But if he had to take two losses to Indiana to win these, that he would trade it every time. So I thought it was funny. I will say this: Ethan Morton could not have acted any less enthused to be there than anybody I saw over the course of the entire Big Ten Media Days. He was constantly down, looking around, looking off over here while somebody's talking. He's just, you ask him a question. I don't know if is that some Zach envy? Is there, because I know he's getting all the attention there. I mean, when you have a star, it's hard, and not only just a star, but he's 7 foot, so he's going to draw. I remember someone said, "Well, I'm waiting for the Purdue contention to come in." I go, "Well, trust me, you won't miss them." But meaning talking about Zach Edey. But is it possible that there's a little Zach envy?
I don't think so. I mean, they've already gone through a full season of him being the guy, and
right,
you had that last
it's wearing
year
on a little more.
Yeah, I mean, but I think at some point you have to realize, okay, this is going to be the key to any success that this team has coming forward. And honestly, I think Morton is another guy that is in a big spot, because if there's a weakness in Purdue's starting five, I would say it's at the 3. You obviously have Lawyer and Smith in the backcourt. They're going to get better. They were freshmen last year. Edey is Edey. At power forward, you've got, a bunch of good options with Gillis, with Caleb First, with Trey Kaufman-Wren. You can be, mix and match them when Edey's out of the game. But at the 3, who is going to be that guy? And I'm curious to see how Morton responds, because I think he's going to get first crack at it since he's the senior. He's been around the program. This is his 4th year. And, his job to me is going to be handle the ball a little bit, play some defense, and you're going to get 3 or 4 wide open threes per game. Can he knock them down? Last year, he shot 27% from 3. And you got to be better than that, honestly. So it'll be curious to see how he responds. He's got all the experience in the world. If he can be a bit more of a shooter, that's going to really help Purdue out at that position. Otherwise, they're going to be looking for Brian Waddell, Camden Heide, or Miles Colvin to play there.
Trey Kaufman-Renn, obviously the most challenging, I guess, to Ethan for that spot. I'm going to assume. I mean, he kind of has grown into that, or is he playing more at the 4?
I kind of see TKR more at the 4, but he did a great job last year playing the most of the backup minutes to Edey when Edey was not in there. So if he can hold it down, give Edey another 3, 4, 5 minutes of rest a game, that's going to help Purdue be even better too. So I think you'll see him at the 4 and the 5. But from everything that we've heard, he's just trying to take another leap this year. It's his 3rd year in the program, but only 2nd since he on the court since he redshirted as a freshman. And I think he'll play a little bit between the 4 and the 5, and it'll be hard to keep him off the court.
Do you think, Travis, that Purdue's made the necessary changes? Matt Painter seems to think so. The necessary changes and gotten the athleticism to finally break through. I mean, I know that's something that they've been close before. They've been talented. They've won a lot of Big Ten championships, but it feels like with the returning talent, with the National Player of the Year, Braden Smith and Fletcher Loyer having another year under their belt, and bringing in a guy like Miles Colvin, it feels like they have the pieces. But I also have a conversation we have just about every year where it feels like Purdue finally has the pieces to break through, and they still quite haven't done it yet.
And we're not going to know an answer to that question for another 6 months. I mean, last year, if you'd have told me that they were going to lose to Fairleigh Dickinson, whose tallest guy was 6'6", 6'7", and they were going to, and Fairleigh Dickinson was going to control the game, and Purdue was going to score 58 points, I would have laughed at you. I mean, that's the type of opponent and type of a team that Purdue usually schedules for some late November home game on a Tuesday night, and they beat them by 20 points. So, I mean, it really depends on what's going to happen when they get there. It was a shock to lose to St. Peter's. It was a shock to lose to Fairleigh Dickinson. And those aren't exactly, athletic, run past you teams like a Kansas or a UConn or a North Carolina. So Purdue has shown they can handle those types of teams, honestly. I mean, they got a really nice win over Texas in the 2021 tournament. They have not lost a non-conference regular season game since the COVID year when they lost at Miami. And they've gone through the non-conference undefeated the last 2 seasons. So, and that's playing the likes of but Gonzaga. They played Duke. They've played, a bunch of other really solid teams. They got a nice win over Marquette last year. So they've proven they can do it in the regular season. Can they do it in March? Right. That is going to be the question that hangs over this team until March.
That clip, John, did you have that clip yesterday from Mason that the question when
I do not have it. No, I didn't know we needed it today. That's my fault.
No, that's fine. I'll get to that. But I will say that Edey seemed to be all business. He was locked in. He seems to have a focus. And I did ask him about the banging the gong at and that's how we got into this other stuff, banging the gong at the Colts game. They sent him this ridiculous hat that's like an oversized conductor's hat that I would have said, no, thank you. I got a Purdue baseball hat or something I could wear. I thought he looked ridiculous in that thing. He's already a monster at 7 foot. What is he, 7'4"?
7'4", yeah.
And so this hat looked like a Russian, one of those Russian dancers. When they wear those big tall hats, I was waiting for him to break out a little Russian dance. But and also, I guess I don't know if everyone got these, but it looked like he had a baseball that was an ALDS baseball because I remember seeing a symbol on it. That doesn't mean that was the case, but he had a baseball and daggone it. Myron Metcalf, I believe, was next to me from ESPN. And he's, just playing with it in his hands. And he asked him to say, "Can you show us that baseball?" And I said this yesterday. I truly believe he could have put his hands behind his back and said, "Which hand's the baseball in?" And you would not have known it. I I mean, his fingers just touch all the way, or it just disappears in that. So just some fun stuff there. But he, other than that, he seems like he's locked in right now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because he played overseas all summer. He got to play with Team Canada at the FIBA World Cup. Didn't play a ton of minutes because, I mean, that's a roster loaded with NBA guys, but they beat Team USA. He won the bronze medal there. So it tells me a lot that he was able to hang with guys that are in the NBA, and I think that was a great learning experience for him. And you talk about baseball. He played baseball growing up, and he's thrown out the first pitch at a couple Purdue baseball games. I want to see him pitch one inning in a midweek game against some like Chicago State or somebody. Just bring him out one inning.
Yeah, I would. That's one thing I did say. I don't know that I want to see him on the mound uncorking that thing, because the ball's already halfway to the plate when it comes out of his hand. So there's that.
You can make Randy Johnson look short. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of Purdue, the one thing that I don't know that they acknowledge, there cannot be any more pressure on this team and on Matt Painter to succeed in March this year. I've said this more than once. If not this year, then when? Because they have, I don't know that there's a college team in America that has the amount of time played coming back. They lost one guy transferred. So they have everybody back. They have the same starters. They have the most dominant player in college basketball, the reigning college basketball player of the year. They're reigning Big Ten tournament and regular season champions. They haven't made a Final Four since before you were born, and maybe I'm taking a guess.
I was 6 months old when they made the last Final Four.
Okay, so barely
it has happened in my lifetime.
But that has got to. That's, I don't care what anybody says. That's got to. You can ignore it, but if that doesn't happen this year, if anything short of a Final Four has got to be looked at as a failure in my mind.
And honestly, I've been in this 2 years ago when they had Jada coming back, and they had a pretty loaded team, the one that got to rank number one for the first time. I felt that was the team. It's like, okay, this has got all the expectations. They are the ones that will break through, and they ended up winning 29 games, but they lost the Big Ten by a game. They lost the Big Ten tournament final, and they lost in the Sweet 16 to St. Peter's. So, I considered that at the time the most highly anticipated basketball team I can remember for Purdue. And it's just ratcheted up this year. Like you said, they've got everything on paper to get it done. And like you said, there's going to be pressure, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. I know a lot of the fans that I've spoken with and everything, they are, in agreement that, finally this will be the year, we'll put it behind us and everything else. But, these are the guys, they have to get out and get it done. And like I said earlier, we will not know until March. They can have a great regular season. I think that they are one of the two best teams in the Big Ten. That they definitely can win that. Big Ten tournament is a crapshoot. That's a fun little thing at the end of the season to add on there. But will they get it done in March when it matters most? And we'll see. We've seen dozens of Purdue teams that have gone in with high expectations and haven't gotten it done. Two of the best runs that Purdue has had in this 40-year stretch were unexpected runs. At 2000, they were a 6 seed. They got the broken bracket, and they get all the way to the West Final and lose to Wisconsin, who was an 8. And then, of course, you have the year that they lost to Virginia. Carson Edwards just goes crazy for 4 games and got them as close as you can get without actually going. You're leading as the final shot is in the air. So this team is so close, and I feel like it will be a very cathartic, almost like 2016 Cubs-esque thing if they finally make it.